I would be willing to believe that Jimmy, if he didn't know about the Shad stuff, and if he didn't know how weird Chris was, I would be willing to believe that he just saw it there and it never crossed his mind and he never gave it after that, right? And like, so when Chris moved out, he just didn't take it down, right? Coffee and Cults released a new video on MrBeast on which at the 20-minute mark she discusses a deleted video that shows new light in the Shadman poster. Coffee and Cults. Behind the MrBeast curtain, what everyone missed in the deleted video. Kind of want to watch this from the beginning. All right, behind the MrBeast curtain, what everyone missed in a deleted MrBeast video. Thank you so much to anyone who watches the video. One quick thing to clarify, just in case anyone tries to justify the first clip. When Donaldson's speaking about women in the beginning clip, he isn't reading something, he's answering a question, then expanding on something, which is why he says, and you ended it with, in his own words. Okay, so I guess he's something about women here. We'll find out. Is MrBeast based on the woman question?
With over 300 million subscribers, MrBeast is the largest creator on YouTube, and for so long he seemed untouchable. But people have finally seen behind the MrBeast curtain, and things are not as wholesome as MrBeast and his team would lead you to believe. For the last 2 months, it seems as though new disturbing controversies are breaking almost every other day about MrBeast and his company, which is especially disturbing given the vast majority of his audience is made up of children. The first allegations to get mainstream attention were in regards to MrBeast's lifelong best friend, Ava Tyson, who's been featured alongside MrBeast on his channel since the very beginning. While working on a larger deep dive video about the MrBeast...
Man, anytime I'll like, because for this MrBeast stuff, when I'm making videos about it, I have to like go through his videos sometimes, and going through an old MrBeast video getting jump scared by Chris is crazy. It's crazy. It's super nuts, because you'll just be watching one of his videos and be like, oh, this is a nice video, and then you'll just be like, oh wait, that's Chris.
Which is better at smashing a window? You go first, all right?
There's Chris. Based
controversies, I found something interesting in an old MrBeast video that I haven't seen anyone else discussing, and it's added a lot more fuel to the speculation that MrBeast could have possibly known a lot more about Ava and the allegations surrounding her than is being reported.
Everything in this video is alleged. Many creators are referenced and all are listed below in the Googled link sources. Thanks for watching.
I'm a YouTuber because I want to make a lot of money. I mean, why else would I be a YouTuber? Well, women are stupid because they're inferior to men. And because they're inferior, they have smaller brains, which
I think that's a good point.
Obviously makes them stupider.
I think he raises an excellent point.
And that's also why you can't respect women, you know, but you got to act like you respect
Okay, he's clearly joking here, right?
Respect them. You'll never actually respect
This is clearly a joke. He should have been serious, but this is clearly a joke.
women, but just act like you respect them, and you'll be fine with that. And you also ended up with saying, I just...
Also, let's say he did think this seriously somehow. He's 18 years old here, right? Or like 19, like...
want to have sex with them, and that's pretty normal. I mean, why else were women created?
True.
Why are my fans little kids?
Consists an extra video, as when I do videos about developing story.
Okay, you're gonna comment on that clip at all, or are you just gonna post that here for rage bait?
If they were to be my usual deep dives, they'd be kind of out of date by the time I finish them. So as millions of people know, over the last month and a half, a plethora of allegations and claims have been levied against the #1 channel on YouTube.
Okay, why are you just repeating the same thing you already said in this video? Can we get to the point, please?
Some other information that I found that I don't see anyone on YouTube discussing.
All right.
Before we get into everything, I do want to provide you some important context regarding Jimmy Donaldson, MrBeast
Important
himself.
context, here we go.
As most people are aware, Jimmy Donaldson became obsessed with YouTube at a very early age. He was born in Kansas and was the middle of 3 children. His family reported that growing up, he had a fierce competitive streak, which made it impossible to play things like Monopoly with him. There's quite a few people I've spoken about on this channel who seem to fly into fits of rage when they were playing Monopoly as kids. According to Donaldson's mother, Sue Parisher, who actually wrote a book and a blog, this is where I read a lot of this information, Donaldson was raised in large part by multiple au pairs and spent his adolescence in Greenville, North Carolina, and most of his childhood too, and he went to a private Christian school there. His mother was a lieutenant colonel in the armed forces and was the warden of a military prison. Today, she is the...
So he was born to be a winner, is what you're saying. MrBeast he was born to be a winner, okay? He raised at Monopoly, he raises the algorithm, he's the GOAT.
chief compliance officer at
And he thinks women are dumb. What more could you ask for in the greatest YouTuber of all time?
his YouTube empire. And many of MrBeast's former employees have referred to Sue Parisher as a bit of a momager. I also think that it's quite a strange thing to put your mother.
Have you seen anything of the new Josh Block drama and any insight on it, especially the f***ed up tattoo? I don't have any like unique insight. I'll be looking into that later, but probably not on this stream. I want to do a video. You'll see.
In charge of chief compliance officer, and according to some of the Times articles and a lot of other people who have worked at MrBeast, she was kind of the HR department. And I know HR departments are there primarily to look out for the company, but still for your employees to not be able to go and speak to anyone in HR about the boss, because what are they going to say? They're speaking to his mother.
Yeah, that does seem like it could create some serious ethical problems when the head of HR is the boss's mother. It's kind of difficult to have a conversation with that person, or to have her like interpret it honestly and fairly when she's literally the mother of the boss, right? Like obviously there's like a conflict of interest there. She's going to have some kind of personal bias to benefit her son and benefit the company over HR, right? I think that's clear.
Mother, like what exactly is she going to do? There is a lot more to discuss about MrBeast's mother, because she actually has a wild power of attorney and is in control of a lot of what is going on there. I will speak a little bit about that later in the video, but I really suggest watching a content creator called BJ Investigates, and her second channel, That Surprise Witness. Everything again is linked in the sources, because she did.
I think I tried watching that person, and I probably should have watched into it more on stream, because it might have been a good informative video, but I think she had too much fluff and I found her voice too annoying to watch. But maybe I'll try to watch that off stream or get someone else to watch it for me. Did you see MrBeast let his thang hang into Pow Envy's penny-sized hole? I'm hoping that's not true. It's possible, knowing MrBeast, but I'm hoping that's not true.
A deep dive into MrBeast's mother and his cousin on his father's side, James Warren, who is the CEO of MrBeast, the company. And she also is a lawyer, so she really was able to go through a lot of the documentation. And I do suggest watching that video. It's in the sources. Jimmy Donaldson obsessed over YouTube to the point that he did nothing else for several years but isolate himself in his room and study YouTube. His channel was originally based around gaming, and then he transitioned into making a series called Worst Intros. And this series primarily was watching a lot of children's videos and then making fun of them. And these were really young children. And of course, all of these videos have been deleted.
I mean, yeah, that's shitty. That's something like the community has moved away from commentary channels, because like back in the day, if you guys remember, I don't really feel the need to like hold someone responsible for doing it back then. But this was like a thing everybody did, like Leafy back in the day, Pyro Cynical. Okay, all those guys, like I feel like half the content on YouTube from commentary people at the time was like, look at this cringy child on YouTube, right? You know, what's that Leafy clip? It was in the Content Cop. It's like, is this kid? You remember that? I mean, even Kids That DDoS, these weren't making fun of specific kids, but these were just like stories he told from his, you know, real or fake stories, however true they may have been, from his days of being a CSGO, Minecraft gremlin. But that was like a big part of content at the time. There was even a guy I remember who I knew who was a commentary channel who I think was a year or two younger than me. You can't even find him anymore if you look him up. I think his channel got deleted. He was a commentary channel, and back in the day when he was like 15 or 16, his content was based off of, you know, he'd be like, look at this cringy kid, you know, Jacob Sartorius, whatever, you know. And some of them were public figures, like Jacob Sartorius or Maddie B Raps, and some of them weren't. But that was like, you know, that was like a thing. You know, there was like a trend on YouTube. It was like, look at this cringy child. Definitely good that we moved on from that kind of thing in present day, because I feel like making videos where specifically targeting some kind of like young child on YouTube, you know, is not good. I would say probably not a good thing. Not even probably. It's just not a good thing. I don't need to coach that in some kind of like, oh, maybe not. I'm glad we moved away from that, you know, for sure. It's not surprising to me that MrBeast was doing those kinds of videos though, because if you go to his channel, I mean, his oldest videos, he was like a you know, gaming commentary head, right? Like that was his thing, you know, making videos about whatever was going on YouTube, commentating on drama now and then, right? Like that's what he was doing, because that's what everyone was doing. You know, that was like the way to get big for a little while. The COD community sleeping with your mom.
This is going to be an informational guide.
Wow. That was fire.
About the Call of Duty community. This is for people who have never played Call of Duty before and are wondering if the community is toxic. If you indeed have played Call of Duty before and know what I'm talking about, please fill me in on if I missed anything. So let's start off with one of the biggest things. When it comes to the Call of Duty community, if you die, it's never your fault. I mean, how can it be your fault? You're a god at the game. The only reason
using like gaming commentary videos about the state of the COD community. Pretty interesting. But yeah, it's not surprising that he was doing that when he was 18, 19, 20, 21. Who knows how old he was back then. I think he would have been about 18 back then when he was doing the videos bullying children. But yeah, that was an average thing on YouTube.
Deleted from his channel now. But speaking of deleted videos, there are a lot that have important context in them, but there's one especially that I really found surprising when I was watching it. So I will show you that in just a minute. After MrBeast did his worst intro series, he began to gain a little bit of traction on YouTube, and he did several other series and started doing random stunt videos, like saying Logan Paul's name over and over for hours on end. And these stunt videos were primarily produced solely to go viral. Most people that start YouTube, especially then, were doing it because they primarily enjoyed making videos. And while, of course, everyone on YouTube wants attention and views, that isn't the sole motivating factor for most people. MrBeast, whenever he started doing a lot of these stunt videos, he then started to do these giveaway charity videos where he would give money that he'd got from sponsors away to random people, and he then would keep the AdSense himself. And he really started to grow his channel when he started doing this. 5 months after MrBeast hit 1 million subscribers, he posted a video on his channel about a new purchase he'd made. He posted this video 2 months after his first.
Man, I gotta say, I like BMWs. I think they're really cool, but I find the i8 to be really ugly. Is that like a crazy hot take? This car, I feel like, looks like a computer mouse. It looks like shitty. I don't like this car. I would not buy this personally, ever, if I had the money. You see that Diller's back to streaming? He genuinely looks happier and healthier than what he looked like when he had a mental breakdown. That's good to hear. Yeah, I know he's having a rough couple of years, but that's good to hear, man. Diller's not a bad dude. Seems like a good guy. Has some up circumstances, got trolled too hard. MrBeast cured Boogie's cancer based.
And he gave that sponsors $10,000 away to a random homeless man.
To be fair, I really want to make a video where I give a homeless man $100,000 because I think that.
Oh, he has such a 2016 swag there. What a great vibe from MrBeast. Okay.
Go hella viral. So if you guys buy enough merch, we can definitely do that video next week. Just saying.
In this video that I'm talking about that he posted 2 months after that one, he had bought a new car, and he bought a BMW i8, and that's what he titled the video. I bought a BMW i8, $100,000, as in the car costs $100,000. MrBeast and his PR team, and I can't imagine the amount of people that he has working on his image and the company's image, but they have very much rewritten his past and his motivations, because the narrative that they push out constantly was that he, for many years, didn't spend money on himself. He doesn't want any sort of lavish lifestyle, and his whole motivation was about doing good, and he only started YouTube to do good. And when he got that sponsorship, it was all about, what can I do with this money that's going to be really good, when in reality that was not true at all. But you will see a lot of this very contradicting information that is constantly coming out.
I would love to see if you had more clips here, Coffee and Cults, because like I agree there has been a lot of that kind of language, but I also remember at one point MrBeast talking about on some podcast, I don't remember which one, I want to say it was Nelk, I want to say it was Full Send. He was talking about like when he bought the i8, he was like, oh, I've got all this money, I might as well, treat myself and get a crazy car. And he got it, and he was like, yeah, it's like cool, but it doesn't make me that like happy to be alive. So I think he sold it and just got like a Model 3 Tesla or something. Which, to be clear, I'm not saying that doesn't show that he was like self-interested at one point, or that like he isn't self-interested at all, because obviously, money is good. Money buys security. It doesn't buy happiness, but it makes it a lot easier to be happy. But has he said like he's never been ever interested in enriching himself or getting something cool? Has he ever said that? Audi RS6 is the best looking Audi by far. I was thinking about that car today. The Audi RS6, the wagon. The wagon. Yeah, goddamn, that is a good looking car. For 130 grand, pretty crazy, but holy shit. And it's fast as I agree with you, but I feel like I would like to see more contradicting claims. Like in present day, is MrBeast like, I never cared about enriching myself. I never cared about making money. Like, do those clips exist? And if they do exist, I think they should be in here. You're telling me a shrimp fried this rice? Thanks for the dono. Next time you got a piss, can you play Mr. Crowley? No. Thanks for the dono, though. But yeah, I would just like to see more contradictory stuff here.
Pretty much everything.
Because like there's no doubt that like, especially in recent years, he's taken on a very like, we do it for charity, but like, is he lying about his history, or like what's going on? What was the reframing of his history going on here? Can we get more specific? Subaru Ascent is the greatest car of all time? No, it's not. MrBeast more like Miss Queef. True.
In general, especially when it comes to do with money. Even though MrBeast and his channel clearly give a lot of money away, he makes even more. And as I just said, he would give sponsor money away, but he would keep the YouTube money. So it wasn't like he was giving away everything, although they do really try and push that narrative a lot. I do, for 1 second, want you to put a pin in that BMW i8 $100,000 car. I'm sure you're probably thinking, why is she talking about this one random video about him buying a $100,000 car? But I promise.
Did he say he gave away every single cent the channel had ever made? Did he say that? Once again, I feel like the citations like this, I could totally believe that's the case, but you got to cite shit, bro.
This will be important in just a second. We're now going to talk about Ava Tyson. Ava was the very first subscriber on the MrBeast channel. She is Jimmy Donaldson's best friend. They've been friends since childhood, and Tyson
The
is
original MrBeast
heavily
fan.
featured on the channel. I don't know exactly if this is true because obviously I'm not watching MrBeast content. I only watched what I had to for this video, but I think Tyson is the person that is featured most apart from Jimmy Donaldson himself, because before, obviously, MrBeast.
From the early days, I would say that's true. I'm pretty sure they were roommates at one point in time. So Chris is definitely a big part of those videos. And Chris continued to be a part of the videos for years and years.
Really blew up. A lot of the videos were just Jimmy and Ava.
They're now deleting tons of videos featuring Ava, and the deleted ones all seem to have a certain theme. Okay. Do you think MrBeast has like paid a certain, does he have like a think tank group of people or like a group of people like researching, going through all the old videos being like, oh, in this one, there's this joke. In this one, they joke about the N-word. In this one, Chris says some weird shit. We got to get rid of that video. Like, do you think they have like a team of people going through old MrBeast videos, wiping it? You know what I mean?
After the blow up, Jimmy, Ava, all of their friends became extremely famous to children all around the world. There are 300 million subscribers on MrBeast's channel, and the vast majority of those are young children. The allegations surrounding Ava Tyson are extremely serious, and they're being accused of being in Discord servers with young minors, sending them very inappropriate messages, and also sending them images and being a fan of this disgusting art that is called lolly. And I'm sure a lot of people haven't heard of it before this whole situation, but it is basically drawings or art of young children being depicted.
I envy this person in her audience that they've never heard of that. I've been on the up side of the internet for too long. I was making videos about Digibro when I was 15 years old, okay? I knew what lolly was before I was 18 years old. That's up.
Depicted in
I like the
a
cat
manner,
it looks
and
like my parents'
it's
old
really disgusting. And there's a lot of other allegations of this sort of nature surrounding Ava Tyson. A lot of the Discord messages and everything have been released. A lot of people have discussed them in detail. There's a lot of other similar allegations surrounding
Nothing gets my knob cranking like some lolly. Shout out Chris. But I love Sunny.
Ava, like sharing the revenge of the Nickelodeon star Jeanette McCurdy. Just really disgusting stuff. I don't want to repeat a bunch of things that other people have said in videos, because I'm sure a lot of people watching this have seen a lot of other MrBeast videos. So I will leave videos that go into a lot more detail about the allegations down below in the sources as well. There are many former MrBeast employees who have spoken about how openly Ava talked about being a fan of this art style at the company. And they also have said there were a lot of other people who discussed it as well. And they also made incredibly inappropriate.
That's true. Particularly the guy from the, here's the H3 guy. He talked about that.
And very disgusting jokes aimed at children.
One of the most disturbing things he said was that in the interview, he said that there was some guy who was working for them, one of the first MrBeast managers, and he had a kid. And people on the MrBeast team would constantly joke to that guy about like, I'm going to go home and f your kid. And that guy like was pissed off about it to the point that apparently he like blew up and like tried to beat the f out of someone. That was crazy. You know, jokes are one thing I can understand, you know, there's humor and joking about serious stuff. But when you're joking, quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, about someone's actual child to their face, like obviously that's extremely disturbing. Joking about their kid in general that's just off limits. That's weird. It's a real kid. Okay. But like you're telling them, oh, I'm going to go home and f your kid. Like that's odd. That's odd. That's weird. Imagine being a father in that situation. You're around those people. You know what I mean?
Children, and just in this sort of arena.
The first manager that ever worked there, his name was Dan. Sorry. And he was actually a really good guy, but everyone was consistently making these jokes wildly inappropriate about his like 5-year-old kid.
Ew. Understandable crash out, yeah.
Dude, I know.
Like what?
And so, like, gonna go home and insert name. Like,
what?
The craziest thing.
Who was saying that?
I know. Well, Ava, Jimmy, it was like the thing. It was like
they
funny.
also have all spoken about the fact that Ava in particular was a big fan of a certain artist, lolly artist called Shadman. After the initial allegations came out,
Which is interesting because Ava said that they weren't even a big fan of Shad at all, right? They were like, oh, I bought some weird art. I wasn't a big fan of it, really. You know, it was all jokes.
It was a wave of things that were surfacing because it just seemed like every hour people were finding more and more things. People were really digging into Tyson's account and lots of other accounts that they had on.
Dude, Chris Tyson's Reddit account was so crazy. Some of the shit in there I couldn't even read on YouTube. I had to censor the few things I did read, but some of the shit in there you straight up like grounds for termination on YouTube. It's
on Reddit and places like that. And eventually the Discord messages were released too. So people started making their way through those. And MrBeast and his company had to kind of act because so many people were discussing this. And obviously, a lot of people were very, very angry and upset by these allegations. So Ava and Jimmy Donaldson both released statements, although they did contradict each other. Donaldson said that he had fired Ava and that they wouldn't be at the company anymore. But Ava's statement said that they had mutually decided that Ava would step away from the channel and everything MrBeast. So as I said, people were digging into Ava's social media.
What was so interesting about those posts is like on one hand you have Ava saying they got kicked. On the other hand, or one hand you have Ava saying I left voluntarily. And one hand you have MrBeast saying Ava got kicked by me, right? So people are like, oh, Ava lied, MrBeast fired her, right? But then you acknowledge the fact that we don't know actually what went on behind the scenes and what their true intentions were. Maybe MrBeast said that publicly when in reality Ava did step away, and he said that to give like a good face, and he didn't really want to fire Ava or put her on leave or whatever, right? And the thing that makes that even more interesting is when there were these posts that got leaked from Eric, who is Chris Tyson's partner, I believe. And Eric was talking about the Muskina assault allegations towards Chris Tyson. But the more interesting thing from these leaks was Eric, who's like somebody who would know this stuff. Obviously we don't have proof of him, but Eric is somebody who would know this stuff is going on, right? Eric was talking about how there was some meeting that MrBeast had with Eric and Chris. And, MrBeast was there, obviously, like I said, and Amazon studio higher ups, right? Because MrBeast has the Amazon deal. And I think MrBeast CEO, because the guy who runs the company or the COO, something like that, right? Somebody else is involved in the corporate hierarchy of MrBeast. And they were describing how like Jimmy was like literally in tears talking about like kicking Chris and was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to kick Chris. I don't want to kick Chris. And like Chris was in tears, but I guess the studio higher ups were pressuring them like, you need to make this statement. You need to get rid of Chris. This is a bad look for us. It could cost us, the deal or something, or the bad PR could do something negative for the Amazon deal and going forward with that, right? So I don't know if that was true. That's just what that Eric person said. But if that is true, that's a super interesting peer into like what maybe was happening behind the scenes there. James Warren, I think is the name. Was James Warren there? I don't remember if that was in the description.
Media accounts, and this was when someone came across interactions on Twitter with Donaldson himself, MrBeast, and this Shadman artist. MrBeast allegedly replied to one of Shadman's tweets that had a drawing, and he replied with a picture of himself, I'll put it on the screen, and saying, oh, this is everything we've ever wanted, we can quit now. In his statement, he said that he knew nothing about Ava or what was going on and was shocked by it. When the allegations first came out, a lot of people were discussing.
Let's read that again. I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior. I'm disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. What was his full statement, actually? Because I feel like, once again, if you're going to show the screenshot, you should show the part where he says he didn't know about any of it. I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online. I'm disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. So does he say here, I never heard about it, I never knew about it? He says, I've become aware of the allegations. To be charitable, he's not necessarily saying he had never ever heard it. I don't want to give him too much charitability here, but that's not exactly what he said. And also here, there is a delineation between the Shadman stuff and then the inappropriate interactions with minors. Still both very bad, but obviously one has a more negative effect on the company's image than the other, because the Ava Chris Tyson stuff had been around for a long time. Nobody had talked about it, but the interactions with minors, I feel like, is what really blew the thing up, once it got to that point. My headcanon is that Jimmy and Chris are secret lovers, and Jimmy MK Ultra'd Chris into becoming a sissy goonette princess. I think that's very plausible. You never know. BKD Gaming for 5 says, I get it's hard to fire a best friend, but he's at least a weirdo who shouldn't be trusted around kids. I agree completely. Yeah, no doubt. Get that out.
About Ava or what was going on and was shocked by it. When the allegations first came out, a lot of people were discussing, did MrBeast know or didn't he? So when people found this tweet, they were thinking, oh, well, maybe he did know. And I know even initially, a lot of people were thinking, well, they've been friends forever. They live together. They're so involved in each other's lives. They work together. They're together constantly. Wouldn't he know this about his friend? Although some people keep secrets like that from their friends. But when you're looking at what the former MrBeast employees said, it seemed to be openly discussed.
So, and it's so crazy, especially when people are like, yeah, he had no idea about Chris's whatever. It's like, bro, that was like a funny joke to them.
So do you think Jimmy knew about all this stuff and they just didn't, he just thought, maybe he laughed about it but didn't know how serious it was? Like, what's your take on Jimmy's?
Well, to be fair, and even in my original video, I've said, I've tried to be as fair as possible. I don't think Jimmy had any idea about the meeting up with people. I just don't know. I feel like that was like Ava's dirty secret at the time, but they definitely knew about the lolly. That was like funny to them. They're like, yeah, look at the lolly Discord. Did you check the lolly Discord?
So this guy does make the delineation between the two.
Holy shit. I know. I had worked there for like 2 weeks when they were like, yo, you mess with lolly, bro? I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And so,
who asked you that?
It's insane.
Who asked you
I know,
that?
and at the time, I'm 18. I didn't want to get sued when I made my original video, but there was so much stuff going on at the time. There was soliciting prostitution. There was
what?
God.
Wait, you say whatever you want now.
Dude, I don't necessarily want to get sued. So this is in Minecraft. I don't know.
But obviously, we don't know for sure. So it could be that he doesn't know. It could be that he'd replied to this Shadman tweet and didn't really even know what it was. Although to me, doesn't seem likely that that was the case. But again, as I said, people were digging into all of the social media and content, so it wasn't long until more was found. People went back through all of his old videos, the ones that are still up there anyway, and in one of the videos, tipping pizza delivery drivers $100.
Probably take a step back, but now be like shocked. Like have your hands over your face, like you're emotional as you can be.
This is crazy. I wish this got elaborated on more in Dogpack's second video, because this was supposed to be in the part 2, and then he just totally sidestepped it for Jake Weddle, which is fair, priorities and all that. But I really was curious about this footage getting released, and unfortunately we don't have it yet. Thank you, Mike Supko, for becoming a member.
Like, have your hand reaching for it, and then be shocked. Like you're spread out the money as much as you can. No, hold. Now act a little surprised. Be really shocked with your mouth open. Yeah, like that. Okay.
There are a few clips of Donaldson, Tyson, and their friends in the living room of the house that Donaldson and Tyson are sharing and living together in. There are a few quick clips where you can see that they're all sitting around on the phone call, and there is a visible poster on the wall. And in a few split seconds, actually, you can see Jimmy Donaldson looking at this poster. And this poster is one of the pieces of art that Ava had commissioned from this Shadman artist. And anyone who looks at this immediately would know that this is supposed to be a very young child depicted in a disgusting manner. It's really gross. If this was a few weeks ago, you could have seen this in the video, as most people saw it when they started talking about it initially. But the MrBeast team actually went back and edited out these parts of the video. So the videos are still up there, but there's seconds shaved off the time, and they have pulled all of the clips where you can see the poster on the wall. So even though the poster was in the living room and we had the screenshot of Jimmy Donaldson staring at it, you still couldn't say 100% that he knew what this was. And also, people were giving him the benefit of doubt with the Shadman tweet, and people were saying, well, maybe he didn't know about Ava, even though they're lifelong best friends. And people were still saying...
I think the only benefit of the doubt I give MrBeast and with the Shad stuff is and the reason why I give him the benefit of the doubt is because my experience with my video about Shad. So when I made my video about Shadman, a lot of people knew he was a weirdo. They knew he had drew weird art, but seemingly not a lot of them knew that he was drawing real children, right? People who had heard of Shad for years were shocked to find that out. Obviously Shad's friends had to have known, but as far as the audiences and various YouTubers, they seemed genuinely surprised by the idea that Shad drew real kids. Now the drawing lolly in and of itself, in my opinion, is very indefensible, but there is still a delineation between drawing a fictional person versus drawing a real child, which if the real child sees that, it can directly traumatize them. And so the only benefit of the doubt I'd be willing to give MrBeast is did he know vaguely at least who Shadman was? Yes. How much beyond that did he know? I don't know. And secondly, did he know that Chris was a fan of Shadman? Yes. But the implication around his level of responsibility to me depends on how much he knew about Shadman and how much he knew about Chris liking Shadman, right? These is the 2 points to me. But yeah, whoever in chat said that this video revealed new information, it did not. This is the same shit I've been seeing on YouTube for weeks. This clip was in my video from weeks ago.
And well, even though a lot of former MrBeast employees are saying they were all openly discussing this, maybe Jimmy wasn't there, maybe these people are lying. But what if I told you there was more? What if I told you there was
Oh, there's more. Hold on. Spoke too soon. My bad.
Another piece to the puzzle that no one else has discussed. And this piece makes it even more difficult to believe that Jimmy Donaldson didn't know anything about this. This was missed because it actually has been deleted from his channel. And I haven't seen anyone else discuss this. And I have been watching a lot of content and reading a lot about this. And for ages, I've been watching videos from the Tabernacle and Tiffany Ferg about MrBeast, and people are being critical of his content. So if you remember a few minutes ago when we were discussing the video, I bought an i8 BMW that's $100,000. That video has a very interesting clip towards the end. And I actually almost missed this because I just went to look at this video to see this car. And I thought, oh, they've just deleted this because they don't want him to have a video up there that has $100,000 car on it right after his viral video about giving a homeless person $10,000. And they're trying to put out this whole thing about him only doing stuff to be charitable. So in this BMW video, he starts by sitting in his house. He's sitting in the living room in a similar area to he was in the tipping pizza delivery guys video. And it's actually the opposite way. So he's sitting there and you can see the kitchen behind him. And from other videos, there's a window in front of him and then there's a wall here, and then there used to be 2 big TVs. And in another deleted video, Jimmy and Ava are walking around their house, and Jimmy says, this TV is Chris's and this TV is mine. So that's important. And then the poster is actually hanging next to the TVs. So Jimmy records the beginning of the video. It's like a third of the video. And then it cuts to outside in a parking lot where he's showing the car and he's going through the car and talking about it. And then it cuts back for like the last few, maybe it's not even 2 minutes of the video. And he's kind of closing it out and he's sitting in the same position, but he's obviously not left the camera up. So it's not in the exact same position. And the camera is turned slightly more towards the wall. And in this video, you can see on the wall that the 2 TVs are gone, but the poster is still on the wall. You can only see the bottom half of it. And you're probably thinking, why are you telling me? We know the poster was there. But in the video, he talks about the fact that for months, Ava hasn't lived there. Ava moved out and Ava took her TV off the wall.
Before something has to change because it's miserable sitting in that editing, writing scripts, filming. I just don't want to do it. And also, Chris, my roommate, moved out, so that doesn't really help either. But as for the car, honestly, it's brought me a lot of joy. I love that car.
Why would someone take their TV and not take their poster? And why would someone live in a house after their roommate has left for months and leave a poster up if they didn't know what it was? That to me is incredibly strange.
Is there any benefit of the doubt I can give MrBeast on this? How can I steel man this argument for her? Okay. Is there any benefit of the doubt I can give? So here's what I'll say. Here's the benefit of the doubt I can give him here. And the only reason I'm going to give him this is because I am a psychotic YouTuber who doesn't care about anything but YouTube. And I know people who are psychotic YouTubers who don't care anything about YouTube. I do not give a about decoration. Okay. In my old apartment, you guys saw how scantily decorated it was. I had nothing on the walls. I barely had any posters. I had like nothing there that would even make you think anyone was living there. I literally had furniture. I think there were like a few stickers on the wall behind me from like where I streamed, and maybe I don't think I had a single poster in that whole place. Okay. There was nothing there. And even when I moved into my new house, I don't care about decoration at all. I just put up the first poster on the wall in this entire house, okay, since I moved here. The only other decorations are pictures that my parents have put up, okay? When you're psychotically obsessed with YouTube or anything you're doing, your environment that you're living in becomes so nothing to you that you don't give a shit, okay? That you don't give a now, I will say that particular poster is really weird, okay? It's really foul. Was that particular poster of an underage girl? I don't remember that particular poster was Lolly. Yeah, it's Shadman. It probably was. But even having that kind of thing on the wall, I think is degenerate and gross. Okay. Even if it wasn't Lolly, like, I don't know, having sexual art in your wall is just weird. But I would be willing, I'm really sticking my neck out here. I would be willing to believe that Jimmy, if he didn't know about the Shad stuff, okay, and if he didn't know the depth of the Shad stuff, and if he didn't know how weird Chris was, I would be willing to believe that he just saw it there and it never crossed his mind and he never gave a shit after that, right? And like, so when Chris moved out, he just didn't take it down, right? Like, this is coming from the perspective of somebody, this woman, right, who's like a well-adjusted human being who has like, you know, look at all, she's got all this cute decoration on her wall. She's got the coffee and Colts thing, right? Like, this is like a normal person. People who are psychotically obsessed with YouTube don't give a shit. They don't give a okay, about what's on their wall. I have nothing on my walls. I have nothing. My old apartment looked like a mental asylum, and so does this house, right? So the only benefit of that I would give him is that maybe he genuinely just didn't think about it and didn't care. Should he have cared? Because it's like weird shit. Yeah, obviously. But it's somewhat plausible to believe that he wouldn't have even thought about it, honestly. You know? It's like your roommate moved out. Why didn't you take the poster down? Well, it's like some people just don't care. If I had a roommate and they left posters up, first of all, if I had a roommate and they were putting weird sexual art or lolly shit on the walls, I would make them take it down. And if they were sexual shit, I would make them take it down. If it was lolly shit, I would kick them out. First of all, that's my principle on it. But you know, if maybe you don't know what lolly is or don't know enough about Shadman or don't know about that weird side of the internet, I could see how MrBeast wouldn't even think about it. I don't think this changes things as much as she thinks it does. I still put the same level of like, it's very possible he knew. I think it's like even likely he knew about Chris's interest in lolly, especially given the employee testimony. But this in particular is kind of like, I feel like it doesn't change things that much for me, you know? Daily reminder, Sargon Avocado's a furry. Thank you. Hey, Tom, longtime viewer, shout out from Boston. What's up, bro? Rick C137, thanks for the gift of membership. You got to get your prostate checked. Piss maxing is one thing, but you're going every 20 minutes. It's been every hour, in fairness, but maybe I will at some point. I haven't been to a doctor in a few years. He wasn't hiding hiding it. Yeah, the fact that he wasn't hiding it makes me think that maybe he didn't think there was anything wrong with it.
That to me is incredibly strange, especially if you add everything else that we've just discussed up, that they've been lifelong friends, that all these former MrBeast employees have talked about how it was openly discussed, how the poster, we have video of him looking at it, how he replied to the Shadman tweet, and how the poster is still hanging in the house months after Ava has moved out. Since the allegations about Ava Tyson, there has been an absolute wave of things that have come out about MrBeast and his company.
MrBeast must have a secret goon cave. You never know.
There's been people,
bro, you can't be best friends and grow up together and not know. I mean, the thing is, like, you can, right? Like, generally people who are attracted to kids are not going and telling their best friend, like, hey, I'm into kids. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like not a good thing. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing. It's not something you want to tell people, I assume, right? Like, he was open about it. That's not exactly true, though. Was he open about it as in going to his friends being like, I like kids? Do you think he did that? I don't think he did that. I don't think that's what he did.
Speaking out about the new Beast Games, which is a show that MrBeast and Amazon are putting together. Amazon gave MrBeast $100 million, and a lot of people have been speaking out about how the contestants are being treated on the set, and this has been reported in the New York Times.
Yeah, someone in my chat asked, how do I think that the MrBeast allegations are even impacting him? I don't know that it's impacting his YouTube channel a lot in terms of like viewership, whatever. Like his reputation among like the commentary community and like the creator space of like people like me, I don't know, the whole like, I don't know, Ludwig, whatever the right, everybody who like talks about other creators, everybody whose career is at least in part made from talking about other creators, right? All that shit. It's definitely had a negative impact on that. But that hasn't really affected his analytics on YouTube. Now, what I will say is that I read this Business Insider article that I cited in one of my recent videos, the video about the Beast Games thing. And Business Insider talked to multiple insiders at Amazon who talked about how basically this stuff has kind of made Amazon kind of be on shaky ground about MrBeast and the kind of somewhat regret giving him the creative control he wanted for his deal, right? Is it impacting his current deal directly in terms of like money? Probably not, because I think it's already signed. But I think if he doesn't like respond well and dispel the allegations and also make this Beast Games thing be super successful, that's 3 things I think he has to do. If he's unable to do those things, then I think it will prevent him from getting future deals for sure, because Amazon and other companies like it are going to be like, it's just not worth dealing with this guy. You know what I mean? Do you have friends who behave like Ava? No, because I'm not friends with any lolicons. As far as I know, anyway. I guess sometimes you never know, but as far as I know, no.
Pansino, who is a very big YouTuber herself, has been speaking out about all of this, and a lot of the contestants have been going to Rosanna to share their stories. There also was a former MrBeast employee called Dawson who goes by Dogpack404 on YouTube, and he released 2 videos where he goes over.
All right, is that the majority of the information from this? When is the Turkey Tubi movie coming out? Great question. Really soon. Alice's Punk Corner says Moist Critical hasn't talked about the MrBeast mumbo jumbo yet. It's not like the talking about it's like the not talking about the Ava situation, but real. I feel like that's, you realize he said he would stop making videos about drama. Like he's not even in the game of drama right now. And also like he's not obligated to talk about drama situations because you want him to. No YouTuber you watch is obligated to talk about what you want them to talk about.
Allegations against MrBeast and his company, where he talks about illegal lotteries aimed at children, how harmful it seems the Feastables products are, and the whole mentality behind them being aimed at, again, this whole lottery for kids. And there's a bunch of other allegations. I really don't want to just summarize Dawson's videos, as I think it's much better if you go and watch them. So again, link down below in the sources. Especially in the second video, he talks to another former MrBeast employee, Jake Weddle, and I really think that it's best to just watch both of these videos because Dawson has put them together really well. And
good thing I did.
When you listen to Jake talking about his experience, not only working at MrBeast, but what he went through as a participant in one of the videos that was never released because it went so badly, you really feel what Jake is going through because he...
All right, I think we watched through all the new info here. Interesting video, kind of. I feel like that reveal they had wasn't as like dead in the doornail as they thought it was, but it adds a little more to the idea that MrBeast could have known, I think, but not like 100%. You know what I mean? You know, I don't necessarily, I don't think my needle has moved for that more. I'm really curious to see MrBeast's response when he does that. But that might not be for a while, you know?